Okay, welcome everyone to AIDA Symposium, AI Education in Business Waters. Our next presentation is First Responders Education on AI for Natural Disaster Management. And I would like to thank Alessandro, Mariani, and all the speakers for delivering this lecture. Alessandro, floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you also from our side to you and all the organization for giving us this possibility and for supporting us in the organization of this meeting. I think that we can already get started. So I will start with a short introduction and then we will get to the actual session with the overall discussion between the panelists after a short opening remark from all of them. So thank you everyone for joining us. Welcome here from my side. As anticipated, this panel is on education on artificial intelligence within the public sector, so for civil servants. And the context in which we are convening this panel is the AI Doctoral Academy Symposium in Thessaloniki. Unfortunately, we are not physically there, so that's a pity for us. But in any case, we hope that there you're having a great time, and we're sure about that. So getting a bit more into the detail of this panel, we see that the public sector today is facing a new landscape of digital technologies. Using and procuring technology is not like it used to be in the past, when you had a clear set of requirements and you most likely had a program that would match those requirements. For instance, you had to calculate and show some charts regarding some numbers, you would have Excel. In case you didn't have something specific for you, it would be something for the development of a new software. Today, the landscape is very different. The use of technology is dependent on the understanding of the impact of the technology and the software on your work and on the tasks that you are trying to carry out. And also this kind of understanding, it's more complex. There are more factors that come into play. There are data sets on which programs are trained and that you have to look at to see whether they're biased or not. There is the whole challenge sometimes of introducing a technology in an organization, a technology that has different capabilities, if we want, and that may change in a way the structure of your team and the way in which your team communicates or conducts the work. So in this sense, we see that research tells us that there are some new set of activities or capabilities that we have to embark on. And these are summarized in some papers as sensing technological trends, seizing opportunities, and implementing successful technologies for digital transformation. This brings us to the new skills and the new competencies that everyone will need to have to embark on this journey, so to speak. In this case, we are contextualizing this specifically within the public sector. And we are seeing that, and we will see this more in detail in a moment, also institutions and policymakers at high level are trying to provide a response in this sense and trying to give us a number of resources to enable various organizations to to conduct these activities, procure technology successfully, and be up for its use for a better society. So we will hear a little bit of everything that I just hinted at in the next minutes of this session. We will start with some opening remarks from the panelists and the experts, and we will then have a short discussion. Thank you again for being here. Without further ado, I will give the floor to Anna Pizzamiglio, Research Associate and Project Manager at the Lisbon Council, who will share some insights on skills and policy. Thank you. Anna, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. First of all, I apologize. I have some technical issues, so I cannot turn on my camera. But we have to do the best with what we have. So you will not be seeing me today. You will only be hearing me. Thank you, Alessandro, for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here today to discuss this critical topic, education. I find it the cornerstone of everything that comes of our society. It's really important, especially when we talk about technology. We hear a lot about innovation. We hear a lot about the need to invest in new technology, the need of Europe to become a leader in tech. But how can we achieve this if not through a really good foundation in education? How can we achieve this if not through teaching new generations how to use these technologies? The Lisbon Council is quite active in this area, and every year for a couple of years now we convene the Digital Skills Summit. And at this year's Digital Skills Summit, we had Adi Partovi, the founder and CEO of Code.org, a really important initiative that brought digital skills to 15 million people worldwide. And he said, when talking about AI, he said that AI is not going to replace us, but it's people who know how to best use AI that will replace people who don't know how to use these tools. So without further ado, I'll try to be quick and be on time and give you a broad overview of digital skills policy in the European Union. So when talking about digital skills policy, it's important to note that the EU supports and complements member states' actions. It's not an exclusive competence, it's a shared competence under the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union. So there's not really strict policy guidelines on skills, broadly, skills and education. The European Union can only support member states in their work on this. So what is the European Union doing? Probably the most important piece of work that the Commission put forward when it comes to digital skills is the Digital Education Action Plan. This is a plan that was presented in 2021, and its action span is from 2021 to 2027. It is one of the cornerstone policies in this area. It focuses on fostering high quality, inclusive digital education and training at all levels. It mostly focuses on school, so it's not really relatively relevant for this session. Another really significant initiative is the European Skills Agenda. It was updated in 2020, and it sets ambitious objectives for upskilling and reskilling by 2025. It aims to equip at least 70% of adults with basic digital skills, as well as ensuring that digital training opportunities are accessible to all, including people in remote and rural areas. This agenda, again, as I said, the skills and education, it's not a competence of the European Union, of the European Commission. So all these activities, they aim at stimulating action from member states. And this is what the European Skills Agenda tries to do. It tries to promote collaboration between governments, industry, and educational institutions to create frameworks that work for lifelong learning. They have been trying to foster digital skills uptake also through Digital Europe and Horizon and funding. Most notably, the European Social Fund Plus, which provides funding to support employment, education, and social inclusion. A good portion of the funding is directed towards initiatives to develop green skills and digital skills, especially in the context of reskilling and upskilling, which is what's most needed at the moment. And then, most notably, the Pact for Skills. It's really important in this case because it encourages partnerships between government and industry mostly, so that industry can bring their know-how to the public sector, which sometimes lacks of it. Of course, with all due respect. Focusing on AI more specifically, so as we know, AI became really popular recently. The European Union has been trying to adapt to this change, to this technological innovation and advancement. What are they doing? What are we doing? There's AI for Europe, which is part of the Digital Europe program, which allocates funding specifically for AI research, development, and deployment, and training programs. There are the AI competence centers, which are being established as we speak now. These centers will serve as hubs for knowledge sharing, research, and development of AI applications tailored to the public sector needs. And lastly, they are focusing on ethics and how to develop AI in a trustworthy and sure way. And in this area, we have mostly the guidelines for trustworthy AI, which can be referred to as a framework on how to develop and use AI in an ethical way. So to conclude, the European Union is trying to answer to this need for more skills and more education on digital technologies and AI. There's only so much we can do, they can do. And an ecosystem perspective is needed. So we need member states, we need industry, we need everyone to collaborate together in order to make this new step in our society, in our world, this work for everyone, and to ensure that everyone has the right skills to make the most out of it. As we discuss the potential uses of AI and as other digital technologies, we need to keep in mind that, again, education is the cornerstone of this. Without education, without digital skills, we don't have a digital society. Yes, thank you for your attention, and I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you so much, Anna. Very much like this final statement that without digital skills, there's no digital society. I think that this opens the way quite neatly to the next speaker in line. Unfortunately, Professor Samek couldn't attend, so we will now move to Ilaria Mariani, PhD and researcher at Politecnico di Milano, working at the master within the master AI for Gov. So here's why this follows very precisely this first presentation and the last comments. She is also part of GovTech Connect and Orbis, that are other two projects that are very much connected with the topic, and many more things that that now I'm leaving out for the sake of the timing and the scope. So Ilaria, please go ahead. The floor is yours. You're muted.
I should have taken the lead and shared the screen. Can you see it in presenter mode? And hear me well, I guess. Yes, great. Thank you very much, Alessandro, for the kind introduction and for the great initiative in which I've been honored to partake into now. As said by Alessandro, my point of view is that of design thinking and also multi-stakeholder engagement for supporting the introduction of AI in public sector innovation. And today I gave a specific cut of how we are doing that in the training environment, mostly looking for indeed ecosystems which are engaging multiple of the stakeholders which are relevant for the topic within settings where the training is very much hands-on, so to understand how to actually put in place and experiment with AI for bringing innovation into public sector at different levels. So this is where we are actually, how technology and governance can support the public sector and how to do that in multiple ways. And of course, we point very much into the citizen-centric part and how to put needs at the very center so that everything is more desirable and innovative, not just from a technological point of view, but also perceived as relevant and meaningful for those who are using them, being them end users or mid-users as civil servants, which is another relevant point that you mentioned before. And in this setting, we are actually converging three main areas, which are AI and technology, service design, enhanced and supported by AI, and public sector innovation. So the direction is that of public sector. This always under the big overarching umbrella of design thinking and stakeholder engagement. That said, we keep encountering a lot of challenges, both in theoretical and practical terms, which I guess are not new to any of us. So the scenarios keep going, requiring upskilling, reskilling, and dynamic capabilities, but also new governance models to stay updated and keeping the pace, not to stay and lag behind. While in practical terms, it's very hard to understand how to implement theory and like a user-centered approach into practice, or to put in place a real and effective stakeholder engagement. And then there is this the elephant in the room of the resistance to change that is always with us. So we've been going for this topic, moving around with a specific challenge that is understanding how to effectively and meaningfully instilling design thinking mindset and methodologies to support an AI-enhanced digital transformation in public sector. And the design programs that I'm going to show you very quickly are putting themselves into this very challenge with design intervention and multi-stakeholder settings. These are three programs we've been into. The first one is AI for Gov, as said, 1-year master, funded by CEF and winner of the European Digital Skill Awards 2023. One of the winners of that year. The second instance is an executive master in public sector innovation within the Politecnico di Milano Graduate School of Management, which has a lot of public administrations within their classroom. And the third one is GovTech Connect bootcamps funded by DigiConnect, bootcamps engaging startups. So in the loop, we actually encounter all the actors and bring them into the same room. So to provide teachings which are putting the human being at the center, being considered about the system and multi-stakeholder setting in which we are moving ahead towards how to design services, systems which are exploiting AI, being value-driven, not tech-pushed. So mainly looking at contextual factors influencing adoption of design thinking in this, but also the translation and operationalization within then the public administrations. And so last slide, challenges and lessons learned that we painfully collected along the way. Challenges is that of introducing design thinking in established mindsets because they are requiring a change. integrating participants from different specializations within training because they have different literacies and actually speak different languages in terms of from jargons and surroundings, aligning curriculum so that they answer real-world public sector needs, which are keeping evolving, addressing organizational resistance to adopting new methodologies which differ from the one they already rooted and established, shifting from this technology-driven to user systemic-centric approach. What we learned is that we needed more and more project-based learning, so to have hands-on and effective experimentation, putting everything into practice so to understand how it really goes. Incorporation of this hands-on experimentation with also the user research, so to start engaging and embedding users since the very beginning and all along the process when needed. Emphasis then on experiential learning, but also iterative design, so to see how feedback are influencing the design, going back and forth and revising it until they meet the real expectation, and establishing a common vocabulary for facilitating clear communication, which requires weeks. This is what we got. And with that, I hope I've been in my time because I finished this like this. I don't know if questions are now or later.
Thank you so much, Ilaria. We have the final set of opening remarks, and then we will open the discussion. In this case, I like one of the opening statements on being innovative as putting the needs at the center. So the innovation really coming from the needs being put at the center, not from everything that is around in terms of technology and so on, or also from that, but not as much as this change in mindset. So now we are moving on. Thanks a lot, Ilaria. Now we are moving on with the final set of opening remarks before getting to our panel discussion. So we moved from an overall view of the policy and other initiatives that are happening in the whole European Union. We saw how education is important and how some, in this case, the University Politecnico di Milano, some universities are implementing these principles and teaching new competencies and new skills. And we are now going to see how this takes shape in a public sector. So I am happy to have here Aleksi Kopponen, the Director of Digital Transformation at the City of Tampere. And he will bring the example of the Skills and Competencies Development Program of Data-Driven City for Citizens. So I think that here we already have some insights on how this will take place. So thanks a lot, Aleksi, for being here, and the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, and thanks for having me. Very interesting presentation already here. So maybe I will start continuing on top of that. So first of all, my name is Aleksi Kopponen, and I come from Finland, from city of Tampere. I'm actually off duty from Ministry of Finance, Public Sector ICT Department. Before my current position, we have been developing the national activities regarding digitalization and utilization of AI. I'm also a PhD student regarding the citizen digital twin, so how the data defines our situation in the future and how we can basically optimize the service provision, our real situations and real life events. So I was very happy to hear about the design thinking in the previous presentation. It's very critical to push towards the age of AI in a human-centric way. I'm also been interested about the more deeply dive into the ethical considerations of how we utilize the data for the benefit of the people, not for the primarily benefit for the government or the businesses. And that is the biggest challenge we try to tackle. But actually, before we can continue on this, I have been thinking regarding what we have been doing for the last decade in Finland around digital transformation. And actually this This is a very new definition I just popped yesterday when we were discussing about these issues, and this tries to summarize our thoughts regarding what is actually important when we are actually applying AI technologies overall our society. It actually, when it comes to digital transformation, it is more like an organizational capability to adapt into foreseeable digital future. So what we are talking about is the whole organizational aspect of the people who are actually participating to create the new reality out of these technologies that are very interesting, that are really might be releasing enormous amount of potential. But if the people doesn't get it, or if the people doesn't have the capacity to make these changes real, as in the previous presentation says about the project-based learning and hands-on experimentation, without those, we just cannot move on. So we have to get something to the table. We have to get something to learn, and after that we can be much better in the next phase. So that's why in city of Tampere has been deploying this ideology through integrated digital transformation activities. What it basically means is that we try to encompass and activate different aspects, different special interests around digital transformation. So everybody, when we are talking about AI, we are talking about technology, data, ethical considerations. Everybody knows that. But what we actually are not too good at it is that how we combine that into, for example, ecological sustainability, how we get out of the economic value out of it. Of course, as mentioned about the design thinking, it's all about human centricity, what value we can bring to the citizens, as well as the viability of the region. So businesses, what kind of new value we can release for businesses to flourish in a sustainable way, and to bring new value and new exciting services for people. And it's also about the feasibility. So are we doing these activities to a strategical direction? Does the ICT environment support this change? Is the governance on place? As we all know, we have AI Act, we have GDPR, we have enormous amount of legislation directives, and we have to make sure that the bus stays on the road. So we can put the pedal to the metal, but we have to be on the steering wheel. So there is like a compliance issues, and through these activities we have actually managed to build the fully integrated digital transformation operations. Basically, there is like 9 different expert groups. Anybody within our organization can participate in these groups and bring their own potential to support any digital transformation activities within our city. And the transformation office, which I lead, is basically a virtual team combined with between 20 to 30 persons, chosen persons around our city, who is actually making sure that we are fully supporting any digital transformation activities. So my key point here is that there is no such thing as AI team. There is no such thing as AI innovations. There is like an ever-evolving utilization of digital technologies in the various ways, and we have to make sure that we have reflected and make sure that the change is lasting, it's a human-centric, it's ethical, it actually brings value not just for the people or businesses, but also the public governance that is very in high depths right now. So we have to make sure that everything is interconnected. So that is my basic message to start this discussion. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Aleksi. Very, very interesting to see how this is declined in real as in conjugated in real life and in the practice, and I think it gives a very interesting perspective on the aspect of the widespread competencies within the organization, which, as you pointed out at the end, it's the people. So not the AI team, but competencies, widespread competencies among all the people within the organization, so that this can highlight and activate, you said, different interests around the use of these technologies. I think this is a very interesting point, and I would like at this point to, sorry for the repetition, to move on with our discussion between Ilaria and Aleksi. So the first question or element for a reflection that I would like to propose is what has changed and what will change in the next year according to you and from your perspective. Do you see any trend? Do you see any element that is coming up more clearly than others? Or perhaps you think that we are in a phase where we are still exploring and there's not much that is being highlighted. I would start with Aleksi to switch the order, but eventually, if Ilaria wants to take it first, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I will be short. Well, actually, what will change? Primarily, people's understanding will change. So after people get it much more better, then we are seeing much more sophisticated discussion about what we should be doing. So I'm not going into other details. That is the most critical thing, that people have to get the what is the change all about. Just an example, in Tampere, as we are applying M365 Copilot at the wider scale right now. So it basically means that everybody will be joining to utilize Gen AI tools within their own primary mission, within their daily basis jobs. So after that, you know what happens. Everybody is talking about the change in LinkedIn and changing the perceptions. We're having like the learning circles, a real very pragmatic learning circles, what that actually means to my work, what that means to my leadership, what that means to the communication, for example. So as people are learning, then they are seeking new ways to tackle different challenges.
Okay, great, Alexis. Thanks for actually opening another way around it, is that of a growing literacy towards new ways of using AI. Great to hear that in Tampere it's already in place. I can say that it's not like this all around Europe, actually. What I imagine to see in the next year is an understanding that AI goes beyond chatbot integration in public sector services and activities towards a more, I already see Alessandro smiling because he knows what I'm referring to. So moving towards more generative uses of AI integrated in daily lives activities, with an idea that they are buddies, not problem solvers, but buddies supporting you along the way. But it means also that there is growing understanding of data, which data, how to handle data, and the relevance of like interoperable ones, so that they can be shared, building upon, now I'll say something crazy, maybe, data as common goods, but data which are good data, quality data, and shareable data, so no personal sensitive ones, but relevant for public sector.
Thanks a lot, Ilaria. Interesting. I would like to ask if Aleksi would like to jump in on the data for common goods and perhaps give us a short look at how the data strategy, if you will, in Tampere, or commenting on the use of data there.
Yeah. in a nutshell, commenting so wide area is quite challenging. But yeah, Tampere has been building the data strategy like last year ago, and it is highly connected with the city strategy in general. So it is not detached out of the common strategy. So it's basically empowering our main strategy to achieve its goals. So that is number one. Number two is about how the data is available. It's like as we talk about in Tampere, we talk about ICT environment. So ICT environment holds also the data, information, communication, technology. So information, so how the data is actually available, that is the most critical question. And as Ilaria talked about data as common good, so that is very critical question, but also very challenging question. What is common good? So everybody has to define it from their own behalf, and from city perspective. I will just give one example. I'm not sure if you can see this. This is real-time data from our city centrum. It's like a data that basically predicts people flows in our city area. So it basically, if I draw from here, it basically changes the information of how people are moving in our city centrum, and this is open data. So we are giving this data for businesses to flourish, so they can basically optimize their employees in the upcoming weekend. And this is just an example what kind of data as we are saying as a common good. So we try to make sure that the data that characterizes our situation, characterizes our city living environment, helps our members of our society to do better. And so it's basically an supporting people's information, their own individual information management in their own lives, in their own businesses. So basically bringing the data back to the people, bringing back the data for their businesses. And that's why the governance of the data is rather challenging, since even though you have the data, but the governance of the data is very, very hard to tackle. And also when it comes to governing people data, it's much more harder because of the GDPR issues, ethical considerations. If the data says, or the model says that, okay, now we know some segment of the people that might have challenges in the near future, what would we do with the data? Can we just say for these people that it seems that you might be ending up in a worse situation should you do this, and should you utilize these services preemptively? So that kind of questions are rising as we speak right now.
Thanks a lot, Aleksi. That's a very interesting take, and I would say that as you pointed out, that this is I think a clear a clear example of a practical implementation of data as common goods. We know of the other examples like Barcelona, like this more famous sort of like from the research perspective, use cases. But at the end of the day, I think it's always challenging because obviously it's challenging to bring a concept into reality, into practice in a complex environment like a city, and I think that this is an interesting one. So I would like then to go a little bit back on skills and competencies within the public sector, and in this sense, I would like to ask, what did you learn, and what are you doing or will you do differently what did you do? What are you doing differently, and what did you learn in your previous experiences until today, and then a little bit of a look ahead at the future. In the case of Ilaria, the teaching of AI competencies in the public sector, but also maybe a look at how this is received by the students. And in the case of Aleksi, in terms of how to activate, as I said, or how to make emerge some competencies and implementing these policies in terms of upskilling and reskilling in the public sector. Perhaps looking both at the national experiment versus, or in in continuation then with the local one. Once again, it doesn't really matter who goes first. I don't know if Ilaria wants to go now to alternate with Aleksi.
It will be my pleasure indeed. In the teachings started more than 4 years ago on these very specific topics and different directions, so provided me with an integrated point of view, which is now getting a bit more mature because it requires some adjustment along the way. Preliminary findings, because we never stop learning, concerns the fact that for doing upskilling and reskilling of participants, because I have public sector representatives, public administrations representatives, civil servants, startups, everything. So thinking about very different of participants, really sort of ground zero at the beginning to bring everybody in the same setting, because it's very, very hard understanding that after you've been speaking for some time, so everybody's translating with their own language because of a different background, and messing up possibly some of the terms because they have same term, different meaning according to where we are. I will say that actually one of the issues is how to integrate data in a creative manner. And I still don't have a solution about it, meaning that you may have a lot of data, different kinds of data, different quality, whatever, it doesn't matter, but creating a meaningful way to put them together so to inform decision-making. This is still an open point that makes the difference, for instance, from when I teach in design classrooms versus when the participants are from other settings. And I see this difference, that is, in the creativity behind the kind of use of data plus AI, which in the term and domain of public sector representatives is more grounded, like concrete and doable today, but innovation is in looking a bit more ahead and creatively. So this is still an open point for me.
Thanks a lot, Ilaria.
Yeah, if I just continue on top of that, so your question for me was basically how to improve or emerge upskilling people. If I say one sentence is like make onboarding as easy as possible for everyone. So that basically means that as Ilaria talk about design thinking, it's also like design the onboarding mechanisms for people to get it. so Ilaria also said about project-based learning. As I mentioned about the project learning circles, we have been implementing learning circles around proof of concepts. For example, as we have been applied Gen AI as a Tampere GPT within our intranet. So it is a very pragmatic project, very pragmatic proof of concept that we applied with our partners, and we applied also learning circles around those projects. So those were very like AI for dummies kind of way, for everybody tried to understand what this is all about, and we was managed to get hands dirty with the technology. Everybody was applying the chatbot and tried to understand how it is really working, and then we stopped to understand what actually is happening under the hood, and also that kind of learning brings new questions. So for example, Tampere doesn't have any ML ops yet, so we don't have like any operations to deal with the machine learning models. That's because we don't have machine learning models yet. but we know that we are having those models in the future enormously. And if we don't have operations around those, then we are struggling with like tens and tens of different kind of models, and we cannot handle those if we don't govern them. So we need some sort of a bookshelf for every machine learning models that we are building or applying, or any large language models we are utilizing, or making RAG models like retrieval augmented models that actually is implementable to a chosen particular cases. So make onboarding as easy as possible for everyone. That empowers people to come to a new areas of learning. They are more interested to see their own working from different point of views, and that basically drives the change, because people are more eager to participate the change. So that actually diminishes the resistance of change that was discussed before.
Thanks a lot. I think I will keep my comments on these last two interventions for the end, because we're getting to the end of the session, and I have some conclusions to make, and I kept commenting on every reflection during the whole time, and I'm burning all my shots. But so at this point, I would like to open the floor if there is maybe a short final question on for our experts. Yes, Anna?
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for your insightful presentation and for sharing your insights. I have a question for you in the sense that, so as I said, there's not really a European approach on digital education, digital skills, even more so for the public sector specifically. But I wanted to know from you, from your practitioner perspective, is that actually really needed, or can education still be kept as a really tailored to the member state type of competence? Do you think more integration is needed? Do you think we can just keep on working in separate lanes with some high-level coordination? And how would you see this more Europeanized approach take for? Yeah, thank you.
Will I go first then? Okay. Thanks, Anna, for the amazing question. Actually, we've been building upon different programs to get supported and funded on the different teaching and training activities we've been experimenting with public sector. And it is absolutely needed, because we are recognizing that it provides a refresh and brings into the loop new perspectives. Also, when people's career are advancing, so I'm not speaking about those just exiting university, but people advanced in the career, which are like getting a refresh. And in these terms, having members from multiple member states really contributed, because brought on the table examples, cases, and perspectives which were very complementary, and so gave very valuable insights from those who were into this, and most of the time had first-person experience into that. Therefore, very, very valuable, because it had real and in-depth insights. Therefore, I just see the Europeanized points of view as very relevant, but I see the worldwide ones even more relevant, because in Europe we keep moving within the framework that is very much regulated, and therefore we have some step back in terms of innovation, while in some other places of the world there is much more experimentation, because less regulated. But it's also interesting to have them on board in order to bring this perspectives on the loop and keep building and leveraging on what has been experimented with failure and successes, because the post-mortem are always very, very valuable also for keeping the discussion alive and concrete. I hope I answered well.
Yeah, I agree. And if I just add something on top of that, first of all, personally, I'm sparring and consulting different countries and governments around these issues, like on yearly basis. So, for example, in next autumn, we are going to another country second time, continuing the AI discussions of how they are actually implementing their AI strategy at a national level. And there is like a collaboration with Estonia, Sweden, what else? Of course, Commission and the TAIEX mechanism is one way to use that. We have a collaboration with Japan, for example, as we have been building the like proactive well-being model with Japan. So it has been developed like started like 7 years ago or so. So it's like an all the time going on and back and forth and trying to communicate between each other as open as possible, change the perceptions, change the experiences, share also technologies if possible, but that is not always the best thing to do. So everybody has their own opinions, point of views, collaboration methods, organizations, and stuff like that. So sometimes it's okay, but normally it's more like a mutual consulting and mutual learning in what it requires a context. So if you just go to give a slideware like of three days slideware, it doesn't basically make any change. So you have to understand that what they are really trying to achieve. Okay, now we have like AI strategy there. All right, fine. I'm not coming there to write you an AI strategy. I have to understand what you try to really achieve with the AI strategy. Who you are, what are your key stakeholders, what is your real position right now, what is your real investment, how your government is actually supporting this change. Is it just some guys or ladies idea that, okay, now we have to have an AI strategy, let's do the paper, or are they actually doing it? So you got the point. So it's like an ever doing collaboration with our key stakeholders and learning, and also sharing our thoughts and taking the thought leadership about what the human-centric digital transformation might be.
Thanks a lot, Aleksi. I think, well, also thank you, Anna, for the question, because it looks to me that it could have sparked, yeah, it could have sparked here actually the discussion, which is actually happening. So, I mean, I think it's more important that I will just make one very brief comment, and then we'll leave you the final remarks, because it's more important than that you share your thoughts. Very briefly, I think the keywords that I'm bringing home are widespread competencies and making sure that they emerge rather than sort of imposing them top down. In parallel, though, making sure that there are the conditions that enable this emergence of competencies by teaching and by reskilling, upskilling, and teaching different skills. So basically teaching new ways of thinking about problems, new ways of thinking about how to address certain needs, and so on. And with this sort of like combination, then it's possible to make to upskill and reskill the public sector, but probably also any other organization. I very much liked the point on creativity by Ilaria, and I think that it really goes also hand in hand with the opening up to everyone, for everyone's participation. So please share your last thoughts. I know that you're already doing this in the chat, but go ahead.
Yeah, it was a parallel discussion actually. One of the things is that I recognize happening, at least in Italy, and I really loved it, as that established and super well-known public administrations are pushing for parallel programs in which direct their personnel in order to get upskilling from different perspective. So not just from our group, but other groups which are making similar teachings elsewhere, so that they are conducting an heterogeneous, let's say, opening up. And another thing is what we've been discussing in the chat, and it's that unfortunately we are not all the same, but it's both unfortunately and luckily we are not all the same. So we should look and create stronger bonds with those who are sharing the same issues with us, so that we just not only understand how to better address it, but possibly also builds upon the network. So to co-design, build together, share solutions which are common, so to save also a lot of efforts, money, and have bigger impact in the long term.
Thank you, Ilaria. Aleksi, the floor is yours for your final comments.
Yeah, nothing to add. Basically, we have covered every critical aspect. So I believe everybody got the point. What is very critical. So be transparent, be communicatable, make sure that everybody gets on board, and make sure that you share the thoughts and make with the similar minded and similar competence enabled stakeholders. And through the transparency and experimentation, that is the only way we can learn. And we have to just make sure that if we wish to push our reality into the next level, we have to make better that we are doing right now. So this is hard work. This is very like have to getting hands dirty all the time, and through. This is the only way to make our societies better.
Thanks a lot, Aleksi. I'm also very happy that you think that we covered all the critical points, that mostly because of you and Ilaria, but it makes me happy about the results of this panel. Thank you for everyone who attended. Once again, thank you very much, Aleksi and Ilaria, for sharing your journeys, expertise, insights, and ideas. Thanks a lot, Anna, and also Caterina, that is behind the curtain, even though it's actually in this case in presence, the only one of our team that is in Thessaloniki in presence. So she's not really behind the curtains. Thank you again for giving us this opportunity to the organizers, and hopefully we will have another chance soon to bring this forward and continue the conversation and sharing ideas and knowledge. Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of the day and a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.